Triumph Bonneville is definitely an iconic motorcycle. It took some years to bring the new generation on the market, and I would like to find out how it is. I'm riding the Bonneville T120. I'm in Gran Canaria in the south of the island, and this is a beautiful day for reviewing such an amazing bike. Thanks for GUBRA Las Palmas for renting me this motorcycle for the test, and let's find out how it is. I have to say, I'm having a blast all the weekend with it here. It's just really nice, smooth, strong motorcycle with an amazing sound. That will be my conclusion if I shoot it just right now. Oh my goodness, this is really good place to be right now. So yeah, I mean, the first thing you are probably most interested is the engine. This is really cool. What a cool 1200 a twin cylinder with 270-degree crankshaft. So loads of changes from the in comparison to the previous version. I am the owner of Scrambler, by the way, awesome 865 Scrambler, and I see a huge progress of this motorcycle in comparison to the previous generation. Just from the first kilometers I did, this is a big difference. This is way more mature bike, and yeah, the engine with its 105 Newton meters of torque from 3100 RPM, it's just stunning. Every time you want, you have really plenty of power on every gear, and I very often ride even on the 6th gear because it's just enough, right? The maximum of the power, about 80 horsepower in something like 6.550 thousand RPM. It's something like, I don't know, like it's a category of bike, something like a Suzuki Bandit, or you know, these traditional 600cc motorcycles has the same maximum power, but of course the overall feeling of this motorcycle, it's very different. But yeah, I'm just wanted to tell you that it's not anything for the sporty riding or the highway maximum speeds. It probably goes 200 kilometers per hour or more, but in the corners you rather enjoy the beautiful sunny day and go like really nice, calm, enjoying the life, and not it doesn't want you to go anything faster or sportier riding style. Although even if you want to, this bike is not really designed and really don't want you to go fast, and you have to respect it because the limits in the corners are very, like the footpack limits are very low. Also, it's a little bit, I have to say, like, you know, you have to use a lot of strength to change the direction of this motorcycle. That's probably the only disadvantage or only weak point of this motorcycle, because it's its weight. It weighs 224 kilograms of dry weight, which means that changing direction is a little bit difficult. But again, for the style of going, like, you know, when you want to go easy, slow and enjoying, this is not a problem really. Only when you want to go fast and when you want to race with your friends on I don't know, 600cc motorcycles or anything like that, you will not have a fun on this motorcycle. Cool. Let's try to test the ability of the engine again. 3000 RPM, it's the peak of the torque, and yeah, this is the maximum power, 120 kilometers. I think this is really more than enough power for 140. I'm going to the steep hill, 150 kilometers. It's not miles, but you know, this is really cool. So this is it, Triumph Bonneville T120. I was very curious about this new generation, so I'm a big fan of classic motorcycles, and this is the classic of the classics, right? So now Triumph bring this on the market in 2016, and they preserved the design of 1959, the original Triumph Bonneville T120. Of course, this is a special black edition, which doesn't really remind you maybe the original model, but if you get it in the standard colors, if the aluminum engine cover, and loads of chromes, including the exhaust and everything, it looks just amazing. We see like really nice design and engineering work. For example, look at the catalysator, which is really hidden underneath. I really like the daylight LED light. Loads of parts are actually like every little finish and every detail is amazing. So what are the differences between the new generation and the old generation? We are lucky enough to see they're both. This is the T120 2017, and this is I think like 2012, I think, a Boneville, but in a special version of Steve McQueen with the scrambler light and scrambler single seat. But overall, this is normal air-cooled Boneville, and this is the new generation. So we see a 19-inch front wheel in the front, and then 18. Of course, we see the brakes, as I told you, the big difference between the two-disc brake. I think the materials overall, like the finish is probably a little bit better here. The attention to the detail is better on the new generation a little bit, but on some parts, it's still plastic here and there, on the fenders, front and rear, for example, and the side covers on the both models. So this didn't really change. What changed, however, of course, is the engine. So this is a water-cooled and air-cooled, and as you can see that, I think they did a really good job because of hiding, the conversion from air to water. Like, it was very successful because you only have here a water radiator, but it looks like it's not like this bigger than the oil radiator we have here, and I think they just really did a great job in hiding it. So this motorcycle is a little bit lower, a little bit smaller wheelbase, but it still feels a little bit more mature and big when you ride it, more comfortable. I did like 300 kilometers a day, and it was very comfortable for me, even for the passenger. So that's great. Now maybe you can be maybe you are curious about the seating position. So let's try. I'm having 193 centimeters, and I'll now sit on these two bikes. Steve McQueen. Yeah, it's nice. It has little Steve McQueen touches, but yeah, I mean, first thing, the handlebar is really like from a chopper, so that's first thing I feel. But this is probably not a standard Boneville handlebar, and yeah, this version should be 1 centimeter higher, like the seat height, and I think it's a little bit harder. I think now, yeah, I mean, the seating position looks like this: 193 centimeters, quite comfortable, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, despite the fact this is 1 centimeter less in the seat height, it's a little bit heavier, and I just feel that the overall feelings are this is a bigger machine and this is a more mature motorcycle. I don't know whether this is just because I know this is 1200 engine, but yeah, I would really prefer this one. So what we see here, upgraded suspension. It has a similar parameters as previous generation. It's still the Kayaba, as like Triumph very often use their parts. But it's definitely better. It's still not adjustable, at least, I mean, you can still do the preload and the back, but the overall part quality is better than the previous version. It does a great job. I never had a problem with my 113 kilos, even riding with the pillion. Now, the brakes, definitely the major improvement. Dual disc brake in the front, does a great job. Even though they are two piston, but they really, they really, in every situation did a great job, especially in combination with the nice ABS. So let's get to probably the best part of this motorcycle, and it's, fortunately, engine. This 1200cc twin-cylinder engine with 270-degree crankshaft. It's just brilliant. Triumph says it provides 54% more torque. Starting at 3,100 RPM. In absolute numbers, it's 105 Newton meters, and it's not just a marketing argument. It really works cool. You have a lot of strength from 3,000 to the maximum, which is 7,000. It's really fun to ride it, and it's really comfortable, easy to use, and every time you want, you have just enough strength to overtake car or just enjoy the massive, even like locomotive,
kind of strength from this engine. I really enjoy riding it, even with the pillion. We had like 180 kilograms together. You will see it in my riding videos, but we never had problems with the engine. So there are many parts in the accessories which are already there from the factory, and you don't need to invest the money in it, which is really cool, I think, and it saves your money. So basically the exhausts are pretty cool. Like, the sound is enough. I enjoy the sound. A lot of people invest to Vents and Hines, the aftermarket exhaust, but I just consider this is although it's a parallel twin with this 270-degree crankshaft, means that it's really like a beach wind. It really reminds me of the Harley. You hear these 105 newton-meters of torque? Ready at your service? Nice. Pretty enough. It's really good sound. It's definitely improvement. Also the central stand, very good. Not many motorcycles these days offers a central stand in the standard. Then we have heated grips, very nicely integrated, works very fun. Daylight, awesome. ABS, traction control, electronic throttle, full maps. So lots of stuff. So this Boneville is actually something like 1,500 euro more expensive than the previous generation. So it's changed the positioning on the market a little bit. This is now more mature 1200cc motorcycle, but for your money you will get a really good packed motorcycle, and you don't need to invest much more money, maybe for some nice side bags to be able to travel, but just from the factory it's very capable motorcycle for everyday usage. So yeah, as I told you, I like the generation more. The overall dash looks beautiful and more luxury. So, but the very practical things are heated grips here in two positions, low and high, and you see it here on this left display. So it's off, low, high. It works really nice, and it really heated very fast. So you just wait maybe 20 seconds and suddenly you have it there. So it's fine. Also the controller for turning lights. It was a little bit better, I think, on the previous generation, but you get used to it very quickly. You use this one on the handlebar, the E button, the I button, and then you can use the trip second, the long-term consumption, and the actual consumption. Now it's really nice that it's not on the dash, but it's there on the handlebar. That's nice. The clutch, you can set both levers, which is nice. The stock, I told you, the mirrors, I told you, it's not the best on the market, but they does the job. It's quite fine. Now we have riding modes on the right hand. So there is a rain and road, very easy. You need to stop to change it, but it's fine. And yeah, that's basically it. You also see the current level of fuel in the tank and how much kilometers remaining, which I think it's really handy and it works really good. Also, there are some minor updates, minor improvements, which just really we were waiting for. For example, suddenly we can get under the seat with the key, and that's nice. We have here a battery, really easy to access, and also USB, so you can connect it with the handlebar or just plug in your mobile phone, and that's nice. So don't be like over optimistic. There are some downsides of the motorcycle. I think they are just minor problems, but let's talk about them. So for example, it's quite difficult to adjust the chain because of the shape and position of the exhaust. You either need to put out the mufflers or use some special tool to access it. Now the mirrors are not the best which you can ever imagine on the motorcycle. You sometimes don't see much, especially when you are higher or taller like me, but you can probably fix it very easily. Now I think that engine could have a little bit smoother reaction from when riding about 2000 and changing the position of the throttle. If it's not too sensitive, if it's like if you are just not focusing on the ride so much and you just want to cruise and don't care, I think it's a little bit, the reaction is not really that smooth. And I think, like from what I heard at the forums, a lot of people decad it, and I think the decad is actually the good way to make it more smoother, and then it's perfect.
So now I'm riding on a highway with a pillion. and we are going on the highway. The Triumph looks, or it feels comfortable. Of course, it doesn't have any kind of wind protection or anything, so it's got just a kind of a typical naked classic bike. But we go, you know, something from 130 to 160, no problem. Even the passenger told me that it's very, very comfortable, way better than the other bikes we tested in the previous weeks. In terms of engine and consumption, you always have these massive 105 Newton meters of torque, which are ready for service, ready for command on your right hand, and I never you always feel you always feel that you have enough power in any situation. So that's nice. And what I'm really happy for is that even if you go and we together have something like 180 kilos, and it's still you don't need to gear down in any situation because you have always plenty of power. So I now ride at Boneville in the city in a traffic jam a little bit. So let's find out how capable bike it is right now. Yeah, I mean, it is heavy, of course, kind of heavy, but that's all that we already know. Of course, it means that there are way better bikes like scooters or I don't know, some lightweight KTM or whatever in the city, of course, but some single cylinder 250 or anything would be always better. But really, I enjoy it. So what else in the city? The gearbox is exact, the clutch is really easy to operate, suspension, it's not hard too much, it's comfortable. I think I have always enough torque to to be safe and comfortable in the city, and and the other thing is the sound, because the sound in the city works perfectly, so you really look and feel like stylish and nice on this motorcycle in the city. Just would be fine to find some nice cafe and relax and enjoy. So here it is. What is my conclusion? This is a great bike. Like I did about like 600 kilometers, I believe. It was very comfortable for me, also for the passenger. The seating position is great. The engine, the improvement of the engine is just really successful. I really enjoy the bike and the torque in every situation, in the city, on the highway, on the back roads, so everywhere around. So this is really good. The brakes, yeah, I mean, you can hardly find the downsides of this motorcycle. There are a couple of them, like the adjusting the chain is a little bit more difficult. The mirrors are not perfect, and maybe the reaction of the engine from 2000 RPM because of the catalysator, it's not really ideal. It's so smooth, but all of these can fix very easily, and some of them probably it's not even a problem for you. So now, consumption and reliability, it looks that this motorcycle doesn't have any major issues. From what I read on the forums and on the Facebook group, there was something with the front brake, like some noises, but this unit does not have any strange sounds from the front brake, so this should be all right. Probably they already fixed it. So it doesn't have any major issues. I think it will be really reliable, really nice bike to live with. I think the consumption is very low as well for the 1200cc engine with this amount of torque. When you were riding with the pillion in a highway quite fast, 160 kilometers, loads of like in a tempo basically, it was about 6 liters. When we took it easy, it was about 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers. So I think this is not a problem. Also, it probably will keep the value as for example my Scrambler 2015. It just it doesn't lose the value over the years.
much. So I think it's a good investment in this motorcycle. There are two competitors, like the main competitors. One is Honda CB1100 and then BMW R90. And of course, like, it's up to you. Like, BMW is way more modern and the engine is better and stronger. I mean, the engine is way stronger. It's a more sporty motorcycle, but BMW is not such an iconic, you know, classic motorcycle like this. And the Honda, that will be a little bit more difficult because Honda is a nice classic bike with the, you know, like a, Honda is nice classic motorcycle, but it's a little bit heavier, less torque, more power. And then it's really up to you whether you are rather British or Japanese in this kind of, you know, choice. So yeah, overall I really enjoy it. It's a nice bike. I can't wait to ride some other motorcycle for other review. Thank you very much and bye.